said, we physicians have a priestly vocation. She called it a priestly vocation. She said, because as a priest touches our Lord in the Blessed Sacrament, we physicians touch our Lord in our patients, the old, the young, the mothers. So that's something I think it goes very much with that, how the discernment, that it's a vocation, and she called it a priestly vocation.
I think another thing too, and Austin Ruse referred to it in his talk this morning, but there are human rights that are prior to any rights that are conceded by the state, because they come from God himself, the right to life being one of them. And so the state can't make rights, for instance, the right of choice or the right to die, these kind of rights that are in conflict with those fundamental rights which come from the hand of God.
So the next question, Your Eminence, is what would Your Eminence consider was your most joyful moment serving Christ and his church as a priest?
I'd have to say that it's the daily offering of the Holy Mass. I understood from the day I was ordained that this was the most important work which I had to do, and that was to offer Mass every day, even on days when there were no faithful present, but to offer the holy sacrifice of the Mass for the salvation of the world. And that remains my deepest joy. From that come all kind of other joys, the other sacraments. It was a great joy for me to teach children the faith. For a while for 3 years I was teaching in a secondary school, teaching the Catholic faith. Those were also very joyous moments. Of course, assisting families, assisting those who are dying. But at the heart, it all comes back to that union with Christ and his Eucharistic sacrifice that is the great joy of the priest. The Venerable Fulton Sheen, who has many wonderful writings, another author I could very much commend you, but he has a beautiful book called The Priest is Not His Own. And in that book he emphasizes very profoundly the identity of the priest in the Holy Eucharist. He has, I think, 17 or 19 reasons why the priest should every day make a holy hour before the Blessed Sacrament in order to retain his strong identity.
Beautiful, yes. So here's a question, a little more personal. Your Eminence, how well do you cardinals know each other? And are there cardinals you pal around with?
Some of us know each other quite well, also personally. And there are cardinals who I'm very pleased to call my friends. And when they come to Rome, they generally come to see me, and we have a meal together if possible. It's always very heartening for me. And I've also enjoyed a very good friendship with Cardinal Brandmüller, who's several years my senior, but just a wonderful churchman. There are others too. Others I know more distantly by what they say and do, and there's quite a body of cardinals that I don't know at all. And I think I've said this recently in an interview which I gave when I was visiting in Australia in New Zealand and Australia during the first part of October. This is, for me, is a very critical situation, in that I think a number of cardinals do not know the other cardinals, and I include myself in that number. And how is it then that in a conclave, these cardinals will be able to vote for one of the cardinals to be Pope if they really don't know who these men are? I think there are some very good initiatives afoot to try to present an objective picture of the various cardinals that would be helpful to to the other cardinals at the time of a conclave.
Sure, because the cardinals are appointed from all parts of the world.
Yes, Pope Francis has appointed 59 electing cardinals, and a great number of them I wouldn't know at all.
So the next question here, could your eminence please tell us about the Synod on Youth, particularly the final document? What concerns, if any, should we have about it?
Well, first of all, I didn't take part in the Synod on the Youth. I have some knowledge of it from those who were participants, also from some young people who came to me expressing their deep concerns. I think that the Synod process has become very manipulated. I certainly experienced it in the Synod on the Family to a degree that was alarming to me, but now that kind of process has been institutionalized in a way by a new apostolic constitution on the Synod of Bishops. But I just give you one example, which I think is very telling, and that is that the final document was available to the bishops practically exclusively in Italian, and a number of those who participated in the Synod of Bishops don't know Italian. And Italian is not one, yes, it's used a great deal in the church, in Rome in particular, but if cardinals and bishops did not spend a significant time in Rome, they simply don't know the language, or even if they do, may not have used it for a long time. And then I'm told that for certain paragraphs they were reading these out to the cardinals at the moment that they were voting on them, and that it was a very unedifying process for such an important document. And it's made more concerning because in the past the Synod gave a document to the Pope that the Pope was to take and evaluate and to use in writing a post-synodal apostolic exhortation. We've seen some wonderful documents in that regard. For instance, Familiaris Consortio, after a Synod on the Family in the 1980s, written by Pope St. John Paul II. But now with Pope Francis, the proposal is that this document that comes out from the Synod itself will be the final document. I personally don't think that that's acceptable, and especially not in the way that it was carried out. Particular concerns that I have are, one, about this whole question of the moral law. There was a very popular kind of rhetoric coming out from the office of the Synod of Bishops that young people today no longer find the Church's language with regard to the moral law understandable or convincing, and that they require a new language, a new understanding. And this is of great concern, because what I find in young people is they want to know the truth. They don't want this kind of watered down approach. You heard it yesterday in John Henry Weston's presentation, in that video clip of the various young people whom I also had the pleasure to meet.